What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the 8th episode of the Lob It Up podcast with your hosts, Tobias, CP, Chris Panette, and back by popular demand, Siavash, the Cobra, Gorbani, even though he doesn't want to hear it. We love it.
Let's throw in a little applause, like sound effects. Right?
I would like a soundtrack with the applause.
Hold up. I know, first of all, I want to thank the listeners, but also know we're recording really early. It's like 8:05 right now. But why do you just say back by popular demand? Like I'm a guest on this show. I'm a fucking host. What are you talking about? Oh, the name. Be more specific.
We asked the people, and the people said, give us the Cobra.
This guy said back by popular demand. Like I'm a guest host. Like, what the fuck?
No, everyone knows Siavash is a staple here, but we got to make sure that Cobra name is sticking around, and we want to actually just get rid of the name Siavash and have everyone call you the Cobra.
The Cobes.
The Cobes. I like that. So yeah, like Siavash said, shout out to all the listeners, all the viewers, everyone that's following us on Instagram as well. I guess let's get it started with trivia, and then we can kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. So, Chris, hit us with that trivia. Let's see what we got.
I'm not really a meat and potatoes kind of guy, but
okay.
We'll get you into it. All right. First question here for trivia. I'm pretty sure. What are we? You guys are tied right now, right? 1-1.
I think so.
Apiece?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
One apiece. All right. So, who was the first teenager in NBA history to score 20-plus points in 10 consecutive games? You have A, Kobe Bryant, B, Zion Williamson, C, LeBron James, or D, the big Luka Doncic.
Can you read the stat line again?
The stat line? I didn't read out stats. I read out names.
No, but what's the
What's the question?
Oh, okay. First NBA teenager in NBA history to score 20-plus points in 10 consecutive games. So you had Kobe,
Bron, Luka,
and Zion.
I'll let Tobes go first because last time I went first.
20-plus points in 10 consecutive games.
And if you listen carefully,
I knew you were gonna fucking say this. Okay, it's not.
I love that.
Honestly, fuck. I feel like this is the wrong answer, but I for some reason I want to take it. I'm gonna go with Zion.
Okay, Zion. See?
I like that answer. I would have probably gone with that. I think it's between Zion, Luka, and LeBron. I'm going to go with LeBron.
You know, with LeBron? I also went with LeBron and was wrong. Your answer is actually Mr. Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a bit of a
I knew it wasn't Kobe, though.
No. Yeah, so obviously we all know he was drafted in 2019. I think he tore his meniscus, and then he would come back a little bit later, but then he only was able to play 19 games before, COVID, everything like that, happened. But in that time, he still managed to score 20-plus points in 13 consecutive games, which apparently nobody else has done since.
Which is kind of surprising, actually.
Yeah, right. Because looking at the players that were listed, I'd be like, oh, any of these players could easily have done that. So that's why I was very surprised.
Now, did you make the options? Did you create the options?
He gave me the options. Usually,
that LeBron one is very sneaky. I would think that would be the answer, but
that's what I was doing too. Because usually I'll go through and I'll read the questions first and stuff like that, and then I'm like, huh. What would I pick? And then I go through this, I'm like, oh shit, I was a little pleasantly surprised. All right, and so tying into our little segment a little bit later, which player holds the NBA record for most assists in a single game? This guy's off. I got this. I know this. Is it A?
Scott Skiles. I'm just gonna not even let you read the options. Scott Skiles.
I'm gonna follow Siavash's lead based on the confidence and based on CP's reaction, I'm gonna follow Steve Ash's lead and go Scott Skiles.
Honestly, you're right. I didn't even know how to say his last name, so yeah.
Do you have the number of assists? Don't tell us. Do you have the number of assists?
I have a number.
Me?
Yeah, do you know the number?
Yeah, it's 32.
Bro, what the fuck?
It's actually 30.
Okay.
Yeah, 30
I
assists.
knew it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
That's wild. 30 assists?
Yeah.
Dang,
and this also
bro.
ties
With the
into
Orlando
our
Magic.
other segment as well, because he got those 30 assists in 1990 against the Denver Nuggets when they won 155 to 116. That's a big fucking gap.
Yo, while we're talking about the Denver Nuggets in the 90s, and Steve Ash, maybe when you're editing this, you can toss this up, but how brutal were those unis? Like, those rainbow-colored unis, they suck. Those have to be one of the worst NBA jerseys they've ever had.
I like those jerseys.
No, dude. No, dude. Those rainbow ones suck, dude. Those are trash.
What?
Those, like,
Am I in a
old-school
bizarre
ones?
world? Those are classics.
No, bro. No.
Oh
No
my
way,
God.
dude.
I can't believe you just said that.
We're not talking about the modern ones, right? We're talking about the older ones.
Yeah, the yellow ones, the mountains.
I think that's it, but I just remember there being rainbows and it sucked.
Oh,
I
bro.
don't like it.
I'm gonna have to find the images after, but yeah.
Nah, bro. Hot take of the episode, I guess, but yeah.
So look at
Well,
that.
we might
I
get
guess
into some hot takes after, yeah.
with that, Tobias is our winner this week. I don't know why you guys never both just picked the same answers. I honestly,
he just picked my answer.
I did.
Too.
I picked his answer.
Yeah.
I know that.
Bro,
That gave you that
this guy was walking into the bar with no tarp on. That's how confident he was with that answer. I was following his lead.
And for our listeners, tarp means shirt.
Yeah, I guess we should make a dictionary, Combs dictionary.
Yeah, no, sorry, Chris, if I just basically
hey,
ruined your
you got
segment
it.
with the options.
This guy hit it. This guy
just
pulled
had
up
to
from
hit
deep
it.
and said, "Fuck it, I ain't looking."
I was Steph. I was like, no timeout. No timeout. I'm gonna pull this from half court. Let's go. Actually, well, we said it's Steph. We should probably get into our segment.
Yeah, for sure. But how about before we jump right into the segment, let's touch on current things that are sort of happening around basketball. Obviously, we're recording this on Tuesday. March Madness Finals was yesterday. Shout out to Baylor, the Baylor Bears, for winning the NCAA championship, the March Madness bracket against Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think we all predicted that Gonzaga was going to choke, so it went as we thought. And was that their only game they lost?
I think so. Didn't they have a perfect season?
Yes,
yeah, they had a perfect season. They had lost against BYU, but that was before. That was like in the exhibition, basically at the start of the season, so it didn't count. But yeah, 31-1. So I mean, that's fine. You can win all the games, but there's really only one game that matters that you win. So
it's like the 7-3-9 season. It just doesn't have a ring.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens, man. It happens to the best of them. Patriots, perfect season, lose the bowl. Is what it is.
And who were the other two guys coming from Gonzaga? Timmy and Jalen Suggs, was it?
Jalen Suggs, yeah.
Do you think those guys are going to be in the draft this year?
Jalen Suggs will be a top 3 pick, 100%. This Timmy kid I hadn't heard of before. Definitely kind of that tournament definitely put him on notice, and that's a great thing about the March Madness tournament is that a lot of players really kind of start to get their recognition and really start to elevate their own profile. I know obviously Ja was the second overall pick, but I feel like didn't the March Madness bracket a couple of years ago boosted his stock, right?
Yeah.
Like basically, he was not like projected number 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of him before the March Madness stuff, and he basically was a guaranteed. He might have been number 1 if Zion wasn't in the draft. 100%. Zion was such a lock. He was such generational talent that they had to, we got to pick this guy first, and then we got to go Ja Morant. And from there, it just went the way it went.
Yeah, and like it was R.J. Barrett and Zion out of Duke, and those were the two guys that were kind of headlining the tournament and headlining the upcoming draft. And Ja Morant from, I think he went to Murray State, so nothing, not a big school or anything like that. And they didn't really even go that far. I think they made it to like the Sweet 16, but just the fact that he was able to raise his own profile and end up getting a second overall draft pick. And obviously he's deserved all the credit that he's gotten so far in the NBA. He's already a very, very good player. So shout out to John Morant and shout out to all these kids that are definitely raising their draft stock.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these guys in the draft this year.
But while we are talking about the point guards, how about we get into the segment of the week? Sivash, do you want to kick it off? Do you want to give us get the listeners kind of the intro and what we're doing this week?
Yeah, sure. We wanted to get started with different drafts. We thought about this year's. We had a lot of discussions these past few weeks about where some of the players rated all time, and we thought, let's get into a 5-week kind of plan to draft all-time point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and centers in the next 5 weeks. This week, we're going to get started with the point guards. And we're just looking at the all-time point guard draft. It is mainly based off achievements, but there's biases, there's opinions, things that cannot be measured. Like if a player has a dog in him, you have to see if you want a player that has that or not. So just look
like
at
a Pat Bev type.
Exactly. Pat Bev might not be in this draft, but we never know. Tobes always has these weird picks like Airbutt and, all these other guys. So we will see about it. And we talked about this before. There was a name such as Allen Iverson that came up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think Chris was talking about him a lot. And we went by basketball references. We looked at the positions. And Allen Iverson played the majority of his career as a shooting guard. I think, a lot of people might consider him a point guard because of the height, but we're just going to consider him as a shooting guard. And I can't think of any other players right now that might.
Jerry West as well. We're not including.
Yeah, I think Jerry West was. Back then, there was a lot of discussion. Like there wasn't a lot of positions. Like the positions were declared, so they assumed that he was a point guard. But the actual opinion of the writers and people that watched the game back then, they consider him as more of a shooting guard. So he's not going to be in this week's draft, but he's going to be in the future draft for the shooting guards. And so we're going to get started. The order for this draft is going to be, I'm going to be number 1. I'm going to be going first. Chris is going second. Yeah, I haven't gone first yet. And I also want to give this guy a chance to win a draft finally.
Okay, relax, bro. Look at the stats. We talk about accolades. Undefeated. Look at the accolades. What? Undefeated? What?
I know you've been telling both, putting in the group chat like, hey, boys, go like my comments.
Bro. Bro. For people that want to see the stats, for people that actually look at the accolades, head over to the Lob It Up podcast page and scroll down, and you'll see some in the comments where the likes have been given. I will admit that there has been a shared W on the movies one. Between Sivash and I, Chris kind of took a bit.
What do you mean shared? I've won that. You picked
we matched like for like, bro. We matched like for like, bro.
All I know is I'm not out here liking my own comments.
Neither am I.
That's facts.
Neither am I. Neither am I. I removed it. And I still won. And that was on the first one too. So just saying, bro.
All right. Well, let's just get
bro. Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right. With the number, can we restart that? With the number 1 pick, with the all-time point guards drafts, I'm going to go with the unanimous greatest point guard of all time, Magic Johnson.
Okay, you scared me a little there for a second when you said unanimous. I thought you were going to say Steph Curry, unanimous MVP, but yeah, I definitely agree. Magic Johnson, the greatest.
I think he's going to be gone by the time, Steph's definitely going to be gone by the time I get my next pick. But I just want to say, Magic, 3-time MVP, 5-time champ, 3-time finals MVP, and he's had a great career. And I can't think of another point guard that I would rather have on my team as a number 1.
Okay, Chris, go ahead, man.
All right, with the number 2 pick, I'm picking the Big O, Oscar Robertson.
Good choice.
I believe he was like the first player to like average triple-double in a season, something like that. So, and pretty much for like 5 seasons straight, he almost averaged a triple-double a night, which was pretty fucking sick. So, and he's probably going to go down as one of the best like all around like players. Like when everything's all said and done. One day when we're in a dystopian future and we no longer play sports and we only have the history books to look back on. But yeah,
totally.
That's my pick.
I mean, you look at the stat line for the Big O, 25.7 points in his career, played just over 1,000 games, 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, 1.1 steals. Unreal. Simply dominant. We mentioned this guy already. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter that we've ever seen in the NBA. Currently played 690, well, where I got these stats from, 694 games and still going. 23.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 6.6 assists. Obviously, 3 championships in the bag already with 2 MVPs. Only player in NBA history to be a unanimous MVP. So I'll take Steph with the 3rd overall pick. And because it's a snake draft, I'm going back to back. And I will take the all-time assists, all-time steals leader. Never won a championship, but never miss the playoffs in almost 2 decades. John Stockton.
Okay.
Curry and Stockton.
Mad at the Stockton pick. I'm really mad at that one. I knew Steph was gonna go. I'm surprised Chris didn't pick him. But
I was surprised that Chris didn't take him too.
The Stockton pick hurts. Oh, I'm so mad at the Stockton pick. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
All right. So with my 2nd pick, I will be selecting the great Canadian wonder, Mr. Steve Nash.
You guys are just taking my point guards, huh? Everybody
never won a championship as a player, but did recently win in 2017 as a not an assistant, but he was helping out with the development team for the Golden State Warriors. So shout out to Steve Nash.
Great assist man, sniper from deep. I think he was probably one of the best free throw shooters too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and you look at the controversy in those early 2000 years. You got Kobe and Shaq, 2 dominant players, and this man was able to win 2 MVPs.
Exactly, this man. Hit him up, see.
This is tough, man. But
I know, right?
I'm gonna follow my list.
His whole list now. His list is in shambles.
Dude, I'm just looking at it because there's somebody on this list that I don't want it to fall to you guys, but I guess it might.
It better not be who I'm fucking thinking of right now. I'm gonna be so pissed if you take.
No. Look, the guy that I was gonna pick, I'm not gonna be able to pick because I think the other guys that are in front of him would be disrespectful to not pick them first. With my 2nd pick, I'm gonna go with Isaiah Thomas.
Fuck.
That was your damn really.
I'm a big IT guy. Big IT.
I love
guy.
IT.
I'm surprised you didn't pick him.
Yeah, well,
12-time All-Star. Oh God.
Yeah, he's a 12-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 2-time champ, Finals MVP. There's stories about him just being an asshole, but he was a competitor. He would fight everybody, small guard, and I think there was a story about him playing with an injured foot in the finals, and he pushed through an injury that might have actually affected him later in his career, but he actually wanted to win so bad that he pushed through. So
yeah, unfortunate with IT. I mean, he retired at 32. Still fairly young, never even hit the 1,000 game mark. Very, very dominant guard. You're looking at a player that beat Magic, Bird, and Michael, 3 of the greatest players to ever play in the NBA. Pretty talented. So, yeah, Isaiah Thomas is a great pick.
And I think he would have had a gold medal, but, he didn't make it. He met all the qualifications, but something didn't go right.
Yep.
With my 3rd pick, this might be kind of controversial to say, but I'm going to go with, and I'm going to name him the greatest Knick of all time.
Clyde
Frazier.
Yeah.
7-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, 7-time All-Defense, 2-time champ. Mm-hmm. Now, you might say Pat Ewing is a better player, but I'm looking at these stats. Back then, he actually won 2 chips with that team. I'm going with the Clyde, man. The guy's a legend.
You're sitting real nice. You got IT, Magic, and Walt. I like that.
I like this list. I'm mad somebody took John Stockton. I'm mad you guys took Steve Nash. But you know what? I'm not mad at what I got now.
Okay. I respect that. All right, with my 3rd pick, I am selecting the still ever aging, but still ever brilliant on the court. Chris Paul.
Nice.
That was the guy I wanted to pick, but I had to
Nice.
pick the other guys.
Yeah, much like there's probably gonna be like a bunch of other people like on this list or on our list who, have had great careers, but have unfortunately unable to been able to win that championship there.
Mm-hmm.
And CP is one of those guys. He's got that resume, but just
missing that.
I don't know, man. Just missing that chip there, and it's every year it just seems to break down to almost kind of like, I don't know if it's bad luck or whatever it is, but just kind of something happens that this man can't make it.
Yeah, I'm a big Chris Paul guy. I mean, he's one of the main reasons that I became a Clipper fan back in the day. And when you break it down, he does seem to get injured at the biggest moments, which kind of sucks. But I mean, when you look at the prototypical point guard, we had just mentioned a guy like Isaiah Thomas. He was kind of that version in the 80s and early 90s. But Chris Paul, he is that quintessential point guard that you want on your team. Great assists. He can get a bucket. Amazing defensively. Just a really good leader as well. So, yeah, great pick with Chris Paul.
Thanks, AJ.
I do want to say Chris Paul's probably would be higher if he did have a championship, as Chris mentioned.
100%.
And also, in 2009, he was in the running for MVP as well, but Kobe won it. And a lot of people consider CP as the MVP that year. And I think if he won, he would have been considered a lot higher as well.
Yeah.
So, what you got?
This next one's a little difficult because I can go a couple ways, and I know I have back-to-back here, but I feel like I'm going to take this one guy with one of the picks, but I'm going to lose some people that might not know who he is. But if you look at the accolades, a guy like Bob Cousy cannot be, looked away from. 6-time NBA champion with the Boston Celtics, averaged over 18 points per game, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 13-time All-Star, 1 MVP, and a 12-time All-NBA. Great point guard for the Boston Celtics back in the day. Yeah, it's a good pick, but I just don't know if a lot of people know who he is. That's the problem. But anyways, my next pick, I am going to go with... I'm going to go with maybe one of the most well-rounded point guards. He didn't really put up a lot of points. I feel like Sivash knows who I'm going to take. Didn't really put up a lot of points, but he eventually was able to win a championship with the Dallas Mavericks in 2011. I'm going to go with Jason Kidd, one of the greatest passers you've ever seen in the NBA.
Okay.
Before we go ahead, thank you for picking him. Because he's one of those players I'm looking at. He's high on my list in case of accolades. But I'm not the biggest Jason Kidd fan.
And I know you're not. So maybe explain why. What is it for you that you just don't like about Jason Kidd?
Jason Kidd was kind of similar to a Steve Nash type of player. I think he's the second highest on the assist list. I think he has around 12,000 assists all time.
Second in assists and second in steals. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot.
Oh yeah, and you got the first guy in John Stockton. So when I look at Jason Kidd, I just look at his career. He had a lot of drama, a lot of stuff going on in Dallas, and at first in Phoenix, then in Dallas, and then he was with the Nets for years. But I think they only made the finals once, and he was able to win it with the Mavericks and with Dirk. But I don't really remember him being
that impactful.
I think Dirk got a lot of credit for what he did that playoffs. And
I think you look at the point guard position in that 2011 championship. Yes, I think Jason Kidd was technically the number one point guard. You also had a Jason Terry as well, kind of helping you out. So Jason Terry is nowhere near the same level as Jason Kidd, but he's still a pretty good point guard.
And Jason Terry was a great combo guard that came out and was able to give him the scoring that they needed.
Yeah.
When Dirk wasn't able to provide that. So yeah.
Another cool thing about Jason Kidd, he struggled really early in his career with shooting. He wasn't a great shooter. As you can see by his stat line, he only averaged 12.5 points, but I think I don't want to say for sure 7, but I'm pretty sure he's top 10 in 3-pointers made or something like that. So pretty cool.
He might be up there, and a lot of people compared Lonzo Ball to him. But yeah, sorry, Chris.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. With my 4th pick, I'm picking this player. He helped lead this squad to 4 championships. He also won a Finals MVP in 2006.
And Sivash hates his culture.
Yep, and he is one of the best European players to grace the court on the NBA. I am picking Mr. Tony Parker.
That's a great pick.
That's a great pick, and I'm mad at that because I wanted to pick him, man. Tony's great. He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
100%, yeah. Mm-hmm. You look at those Spurs team, and obviously everyone thinks about, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan. But you got a guy in Manu Ginobili, obviously one of the best 6 men ever to grace the court. But Tony Parker leading the way, just kind of being that, silent assassin for them in the San Antonio Spurs organization.
And I think LeBron joked about this with Marc Gasol. He said Marc Gasol has Defensive Player of the Year award. I think LeBron has Tony Parker's Finals MVP award. In 2013, when they lost to the Heat in that 7-game series with the Ray Allen shot that saved the Heat in the Game 6, if you watch that series, Tony Parker was the force. And he was the guy that was really... Yeah. LeBron was guarding him the first 2 games. And Tony Parker was basically getting buckets on Braun. So if they won that series, I think Tony Parker would have had another Finals MVP. But with my 4th and 5th...
now this is the final picks for you, and then final picks for Chris and I, right?
Yep. So I get 2 more, and you guys get 1 each.
I'm just so nervous. I don't want you to take my guy.
I feel like none of you guys are going to take my last person.
See, there's 3 names on here that I really want on my team. I'm going to say the names, and I'm going to have to pick 2 of them.
And I'm not going to react, because if I react, you're going to take my fucking guy.
There is one guy, before I go on, I'm looking at Sidney Moncrief, and I'm not going to be able to pick him because he's deeper in my list, but he should be mentioned. The 3 guys in front of me right now are Westbrook, Gary Payton, and Chauncey Phillips. I'm going to, again, we're looking at stats, we're looking at achievements, but there's also a bias of what you bring to the team. I'm going to have to leave Russell Westbrook on the board. And here's why. Gary Payton, 9-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA. Where you going, Tobe? Where you going?
Bro, you're not about to take the glove from me.
I knew that
Gary
was
the Glove Payton, bro. 2.6 average steals. Are you kidding me? Oh,
9-time All-Defense. The last guard to win the Defensive Player of the Year in 96. It's been damn near 30 years. And nobody's won the Defensive Player of the Year as a guard since Gary Payton.
This motherfucker just took fucking Gary Payton. Bastard.
And with my next pick, as I mentioned, I'm going with Chauncey Phillips. Now,
the big ticket Billups.
Big ticket, man.
He was on my list.
It hurts me to leave Westbrook on the board, and if you guys pick him, I'm going to say my opinion on that. But Chauncey Billups, to me, is the guy that just they call him. I think there was another name for him.
It's like Mr. Big Shot.
Mr. Big Shot or something like that. He was the guy in the finals. Big Shot. Yeah, I mean, in that 2004 finals, he carried that team. He just pushed through that dynasty, the Lakers dynasty with Kobe and Shaq. Mm-hmm. This is the guy I won my team. 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defense. I don't see how I couldn't have this guy on my team, man. I want a winner.
Yeah, I definitely fucked up the name. Thanks, Chris, for saying it was the Big Shot. My bad. I was saying the big ticket. I'm an idiot. That's someone else's name, but... All right, fuck, this guy fucking took my pick. So, Chris, you're up next, and who do you got here?
This is tough. It's tough for me.
If you fucking take the guy,
I'm torn between these 2 players. Simply just because one, because of the things he is doing, and then the other, it is like the things he has done for a franchise.
Don't
Now
do
we,
it.
yeah, I
No,
might have to do
man.
it. I might have to do it.
Oh, the bias is through the roof.
But, but no, I'm probably gonna actually end up going with Mr. Westbrook. You know,
All
this
right.
guy, super, probably one of the most actually like electric players out there right now, killing it on the court. This guy's giving you points. This guy's giving you fucking steals. This guy's giving you assists. What else do you want this guy to do? Do you want him to go into fucking stands and serve food? He'll probably do it too, and still give you a triple double. I think what? Yeah, he's the only other player other than Mister Robertson who averaged a triple double in a season. What he's done it three
Facts.
seasons,
He's
something like
got three
that.
seasons. Yeah,
3 seasons of doing that. So it's like,
impressive.
bro, this guy's gonna he's gonna make any team just kind of elite. So I'll pick Westbrook. The other, for the listeners, the other player I was talking about, and see, oh, the bias is through the roof, would have been Mr. Kyle Lowry. Again, he'll probably go down as, and I saw this term on the internet, the GROAT,
Yeah.
the greatest
Yeah.
Raptor of all time, potentially. Because if you look
Right.
at Lowry's career, his first like what 7, 8 seasons, some shit like that in the league, the guy wasn't really doing like too much, not doing much. But then he goes to the Raptors, just like a franchise that's just on the fucking downward spiral. He basically takes that team, leads them to a championship, and just the things he's done for that organization has just been like incredible. So, and I think that even though he's probably ranked a little bit lower on some lists, that for me kind of like boosts him up like a bit, just to what he's done for like the franchise as a whole. But yeah,
That's a reasonable honorable mention. I
yeah,
get the influence he has to you as well. So
but
And
yeah,
I do want to say about Westbrook, in today's era with the 3 point shot and everything, he just doesn't get the respect that he deserves. People
hmm
look at him and they constantly disrespect this guy because he's a liability with the defense of today's. But the guy is an incredible player. If you
oh,
put this
100%.
guy 10 years ago in the NBA, he would be the number one pick at point guards. Nobody else would want, nobody, there would not be a team that wouldn't want this guy on their team. This guy's incredible, goes and gets it done. Sure, he's out of control sometimes, but he's still an amazing point guard. And I think today, he doesn't get the respect he deserves, and sometimes he gets disrespected a lot.
hmm hmm
All right,
I have
Thor.
my final pick. So I have two players here that I'm kind of back and forth between, and we just spoke on bias, and maybe the bias is recency bias sticking with me here. I'm looking at Tiny Archibald. That's not who I'm
Okay.
actually going to take.
I think Chris called this, though. I want to see this.
What? Oh,
Go
And
ahead.
for and
I'm saying it.
what's
um,
Tiny's actual name for maybe some of the fans who don't know?
Nate, I believe.
Perfect.
Nate Archibald.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Yeah. Yes. But who I'm going to go with is, a player that's currently still in the NBA. I think, unfortunately, what happens to players sometimes when they're so explosive is they end up doing a lot of damage to their body. And this guy, I believe, was the youngest player to ever win an MVP. Correct me if I'm
He
wrong,
was.
Steve
He
Ash.
was at
But
22.
I'm gonna go with Derrick Rose. I mean, even you look at his line right now, and the stat I pulled from, he's had 596 games played. He's still averaged in his career 18.1 points, 3.4 rebounds, 5.6 assists, with just under a steal per game, one MVP, three-time All-Star, one All-NBA. I know it doesn't pop out to you as much as the other guys or even some guys still on the list, but when we look at some of the greatest point guards of all time, it comes back to that what could have been factor. And this guy was a stud, man. And, he's still playing while he's not at the same level that he once was. The fact that he's able to, beat that mental kind of struggle that he was going through for a bit there. and still perform and kind of lead a New York Knicks team in assistance with some other good players on that team to a potential playoff spot. So I'm gonna go with Derrick Rose, man.
That is a great pick.
I thought you were gonna go with Dame Lillard.
No.
You said currently in the NBA. I kept trying to think around, and then you said
Dame $.
I think it's hard. It's hard to pick players that are in the NBA currently because there's still room for them to give more. I think a pick like Steph Curry is easy. I think a pick like Chris Paul is easy because they've done enough to be like, okay, yeah, they're one of the greats. We each picked 5 players, so both Chris Paul and Steph Curry were in our top 15 greatest point guards of all time. But some honorable mentions. Chris, you mentioned Kyle Lowry. Sivash, you mentioned Sidney Moncrief. We also got Kevin Johnson, who was dominant force for the Phoenix Suns. Timmy Hardaway, when he played for the Miami Heat, as well as Mark Price back when the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the 90s was highly regarded by Isaiah Thomas as one of the most dominant point guards for about a 3 to 4 year period. So didn't have as long of a run, but was a solid staple in that Cleveland Cavaliers organization.
I think this was a good draft, man. And as you mentioned, it's difficult sometimes picking these players from in the league right now because we're judging it by what they've achieved. Mm-hmm. There's these players. Some of these players still got room for improvement, and potential is not measurable. So we can't really go off of that, and we just look at what they've done by now. I'm sure Lillard might crack this list if he's able to win a championship. Totally. If he takes his team to another level. So I'm excited to see where this list is going to be in the next 10 years because I think this is a decent top 15 list. I think D. Rose, I might have had him maybe after Kevin Johnson and Sidney Moncrief, but I think, you know what, him winning the MVP is just...
huge boost to him, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the conversation about him being in the Hall of Fame is constantly on the social media. Like, do you think he might make it?
Yeah, and the thing, why I mentioned, his stat line is because even though, that shows you that even though he's had a couple years where he's, been in Cleveland and he's been in, New York's organization, Detroit's, Minnesota's organization, where he's nowhere near the level that he was in Chicago, he's still able to average throughout his career 18, 3.5, 5.5. That's a good stat line. So that just shows you how dominant he was in Chicago. Again, it's a smaller sample size for him being in Chicago, but like you just mentioned, winning that MVP, it's just kind of sad because it's like the what could have been factor. But yeah, that's why I had him in my last pick. I would never pick him. I wouldn't pick him as my third, but yeah, it's a good draft. I like that.
Yeah, good draft, man. I'm happy we didn't pick anybody that was just out of here. I thought you were going to pick LaMelo. I'm happy you didn't.
So. I was thinking about just sliding in a Pat Bev at the end there.
Oh my god, bro.
Just toss away the last
that
pick.
would be the air butt of this draft.
Oh, relax.
I don't know,
Airbud
man. If you had a good
staple.
4 solid picks, you can just fuck it. Here's a toss away pick. It's whatever.
I mean, that's what I kind of did with Chauncey. I think Chauncey's might be the worst player on my list, but
yeah,
I'm happy with my list.
I was gonna pick Chauncey, but then I was looking at my list again, and I'm like, nah, I gotta give it to Tony. One,
I'm mad at that.
A step up there above Chauncey, and also 2, he's French, so.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how Sivash feels about the French.
Yeah.
Hates them.
These are narratives you guys come up with for no reason. This is built out of the air.
Cobras hate people from France.
That's
true. Why you don't see any
I read
Cobras.
it in the dictionary.
Yeah.
This is nonsense. But that's the 2 picks I was mad at. Tony Parker and John Stockton. I'm mad you guys picked those guys. But yeah, we can move on from the draft now.
Dope.
If you guys...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's get into some current topics. I'm going to hit you guys with some quick questions. Give me your quick opinions. Let's try to keep it to less than a minute or whatever. I'm not going to time you. But if you start going on a little long, I'm going to start calling you out.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit you with some quick topics, just around the NBA. We haven't talked about the current NBA in a while now. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Let's go. So the Lakers are currently sitting at the 5th seed. They're basically 1 win ahead of the Trailblazers, I think, right now. When you look at them, since LeBron has gone down, they've won 3 of 8 games. And they haven't been good. And there's this fear of them ending up lower than what they were expected at the start of the season. Where do you guys think they can end up without LeBron? I think he's out for another 4 weeks. And do you guys think there's a possibility that they could be part of the playing tournament coming up in mid-May?
I definitely think that Portland can surpass them. Like you mentioned, they're only a point or two behind them right now at the current standing. Dallas is a team that really needs to kind of hike up its shorts here, because they do have the potential to be a great team, be one of those top echelon teams in the West. The play-on tournament is 7, right? It's like
What
the
do you mean?
7th seed. It's a 7 seed and down, 7 to 10.
Yeah, so 7th, 10th, and yeah, I think we were talking about this before. The way it works is a 7th and 8th seed play and a 9th and a 10th seed play, and then the winners basically go on to play the rest of the games.
I don't see the Lakers falling to 7. I think they'll fall to 6. I don't know. I just have faith that something can work there. They did get Andre Drummond. I know he's out with a toe injury, so classic Lakers. Like it's just they can't catch a break right now. But I would hope, because in competition, I'd like to see the Lakers not have to fight for a playoff spot, because they aren't a team that should be doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tobias. I don't see them falling to the 7th spot. I think, yeah, well, probably if they do fall, it'll just be to like that 6th seed. But even still, even if they're down there, once you get like the LeBron, AD back, Drummond back, obviously you're going to see an entirely different Lakers squad like out there. So even
if we're just looking at, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say I'm not really too worried for them.
Because even if we're looking at the standings right now, I just checked it out. Like Lakers have 31 wins, Blazers have 30, Mavs have 28, but then the Grizzlies, who are next in line, have 24. So there is quite a bit of a gap. Maybe I'd be in fear of that Mavericks team kind of sneaking up on them, but they have been fairly inconsistent this year. But yeah, I'm sticking with it. I think they'll be fine. I think they might drop down to 6, but I think they should be able to get a playoff spot.
Okay. Well, on this past Friday, the Warriors lost to the Toronto Raptors by a margin of 53 points. At some point, they were down by 60, which Chris was talking about it before. He said he was surprised. He turned the game on. He wasn't sure if this was a current game. Steph Curry was resting that game. And the game before that, he had scored 36. The game after that, he scored 37 against the Hawks. And the 36 was against the Heat, and they lost down the stretch. Is there anything against Steph Curry's case for MVP when you look at the way his team is operating without him? And when he's on, he's putting out great numbers, and he's leading them to wins. Even though he is lost against these playoff teams. Chris.
Yeah, like
is he not the MVP?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100% this adds to his case for MVP, because if you look at how big of an impact he's had on the team, like if he just simply sitting out for that game, and now your team got their cheeks absolutely clapped by the Raptors. Like your cheeks were obliterated into next week. Like the entire organization just needs to like take a rest and just rest up them cheeks and shit like that just after that clapping. But yeah, like he is just so impactful to them that if you're even arguing, he doesn't really have a case for MVP, blah blah blah, he's this, he's that, I don't really know this year. Oh, Dame, blah blah. Tobias, but yeah, like it. MVP, 100%.
Okay, so I definitely agree that Steph Curry's impact on the team deserves an MVP look. However, if we look at the history of the MVP award, we've talked about it before. I think Russell Westbrook really in recent history is the only player to win an MVP where his team wasn't in that top echelon of the standings. Right now, the Golden State Warriors sit at the 10th seed. If they don't even make the playoffs, man, I don't like. I understand that Steph's impact to the team is huge. Like they don't win the game. Obviously, they get, as Chris went into grave detail about their cheeks getting clapped. They get fucked whenever they don't have him in the lineup. I totally agree with that. I totally understand the significance of Steph Curry to the Golden State Warriors. However, when we're talking about an MVP trophy, when we're talking about the actual, finals candidate, the top three, it typically goes to a player that's in that top three ranking. I would give it more so to LeBron James than I would give it to Steph Curry right now.
Actually caught me off guard, but yeah, my bigger point is that is there anything against this case outside of the winning though?
No,
there's nothing, right? Like this guy is doing it all, and some people can make the case for Bradley Beal, but the Wizards are winning without Bradley Beal.
Yeah,
this is LeBron James level of impact. This is LeBron leaving the Cavs, and they're the worst team in the league for years to come, kind of level. 53 points. This is the biggest margin this team has lost by ever.
Yeah.
It's just next level. And when I saw I saw the game same as Squiz. I was just like, man, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then I realized Steph's not playing. It's like, okay, puts it into perspective.
So what does MVP stand for again? Most valuable
player. But that's the problem though, Chris. I totally agree with you, but that's the problem that a lot of sports have when they give out awards. I know it's been a conversation in the hockey circles a lot. They need to create another award. Because there's most valuable player and there's the greatest player in the league. I don't know what the term would be, like most impactful
Best
player, something like that.
Yeah, you could always say you could do something the same thing, I guess, do like a little MIP,
Because I do agree. Yeah, like the most valuable player, like Joel Embiid has like a lot of, people are saying that he is the MVP. Jokic is getting a lot of credit. But they also have other players on their team that can make an impact to get them, maybe not to the level that they're playing at, but not a 10th seed in the West. Whereas you remove Steph Curry from that Golden State Warrior team, you notice a large difference, right? So I totally agree, but I think they need to change the name of the award because right now it's way too confusing. But while we are on the topic of the MVP, I do have a question because I've heard this in a clubhouse room before. We look at the West, we'll stay in the West. No one's really giving any credit to the Utah Jazz for any of their players to win MVP. Kind of similar to what I just said with Joel Embiid. They got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, but none of them could really get a nod for MVP. But let's look at the second seed. Chris Paul on the Phoenix Suns. What were the Phoenix Suns last year without Chris Paul? The dominance that they have risen to so far in the Western Conference this year, a lot of that should be given credit to Chris Paul and the way he plays and how he kind of runs the offense and the defense, I guess, there in Phoenix.
And I think when we talk about value, you look at the value he's brought to the team. I think it's kind of difficult to disregard all these other players and kind of just look at him, but I think he has to be spoken about, as you just brought it up. And I've been hearing this conversation. What I do think is, he should be in the conversation. He should be top 5 if there is a top 5. People talk about Giannis. People talk about Giannis with the Bucks, but this guy, we look at real impact. This team didn't even make the playoffs last year. They almost made it. They went 8-0 in the bubble, but they didn't make the playoffs.
That sucked. Yeah.
Which was sad. But I think, you know what? This is going to be interesting for the offseason because he has a player option of $40 million. He could go talk to Robert Sarver and say, hey, man, I'm going to decline this. Can we re-sign for 3 years? Something similar to Gordon Hayward did with the Hornets. He could have just accepted his player option, but he rejected and got the same money for 3 more years. So I think that's going to be interesting for the offseason.
Yeah, I would love if he stayed in Phoenix, man. Like we just talked about it with the point guard draft. Like, man, I would love to see Chris Paul win a championship. Obviously I'm a Clipper fan, but if it came down to the Clippers and the Suns in a Western Conference Finals, and I knew that this increased, Chris Paul's chances to possibly win a championship, he doesn't have many years left. I would take the L and watch Chris Paul possibly win a championship.
Okay. Well, I was just talking about the Friday game. Let's talk about the night after. 3 teams lost by 40 plus points that night. The Jazz won against the Magic by 46. The Knicks beat the Pistons by 44. And OKC lost by 48 to the Blazers. What do you guys think about these teams? Again, these teams are all teams that are tanking. The Orlando Magic, the Pistons, and OKC. But this is probably the biggest margin we've seen in one night of these players losing. What do you think is happening? What do you think they should do? Is there anything
Uh,
NBA can do to avoid this?
as an entertainment sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, just my take on this whole tanking thing. It's just like, yeah, clearly these teams are tanking. They just know, like, yeah, fuck it, season's a write-off, right? Like the Magic just essentially like blew up their whole fucking squad, and they're going for a rebuild. So it's like, yes, they each lost by like a huge deficit, all the teams, but it could also be looked at as like, it is now an opportunity for the coach just to toss in some of the younger guys, the more like unexperienced guys, and just say, hey, you know what? We're not expecting to do well, so get out there, play, get more accustomed to this, find like your stride, and do what you got to do to get better for next season, type of shit. So while it does suck to see a squad tank, there are some I see like some benefits to it in that aspect as far as player development goes.
Yeah, I mean, as an entertainment factor, it does kind of suck because obviously you want competition. This is why the NBA has struggled to kind of be an even playing field sport in comparison to an organization or a league like the NHL or like the NFL even. I think they've done a lot better this year, actually, seeing teams like the Jazz and the Suns and the Nuggets competing. I just want to bring up the Oklahoma City Thunder because I think that sounded like it was the biggest deficit, 48 points. Their team, their average age is 21 years and 36 days.
I saw that.
That's terrible because maybe you saw the same video, Seabash, but they were also talking that down the road, the Oklahoma State college team, like the university team that was just in the March Madness, their average age was like 22 years old.
Yep.
Their university team has an average age older than the NBA team.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I look at that loss, I mean, yeah, they're tanking, but I just chalk that up to inexperience and lack of maturity.
Exactly,
And
100%.
you look at that roster, I think Al Horford might have boosted that average age by at least a year. Like
Yeah,
that roster is just kids. Like Moses, what's the guy that's been getting a lot of rebounds? Moses Brown,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah. He's
He's
good.
he's incredible. Like, but
He's
he's
dominant.
really young. We've seen him in the UCLA, I think it was. And this guy, just all these young players. I think they
Dortz.
don't.
I'm a big fan of Dortz.
Dort, we got Shy, we got Hamidou Diallo. He's
Yeah,
been there, but even then, he's been there for a few years. He's probably
he's a
still
vet.
like,
He's like 24.
yeah,
He's a vet.
exactly. That's to me, that's incredible. So they're gonna be a team that's just gonna be that's full on rebuild. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how Shea's gonna react to that for the next few years to be the guy moving forward, but not they might not be competing at least for the next 2 or 3 years. So I think that's gonna be interesting. But I mean, 48 points is crazy to me.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to read you guys the Eastern Conference rankings from 4 to 10 and get your guys' opinion on it. I'm going to ask you a question
Sure.
after I read it. So we got from number 4, we got the Hawks, the Heat, the Hornets, the Celtics, the Knicks at 8. And from there, you got the Pacers at 9 and the Bulls at 10. You got
Yep.
the Raptors at 11. They're 2 losses behind the Chicago Bulls. From those 6 teams, you have to pick 2 teams to not make the playoffs. Now, last night when we were talking about this, the Celtics were at 8, but with the Knicks' loss last night to the Nets, they're now at the 8 seed. The Knicks are at the 8 seed and Celtics are 7. Now, pick 2 teams out of those teams and not make the playoffs. What do you guys got?
So 4 to 10, 2 teams that we don't think are going to make the playoffs
Man, it's
or
tough.
lose in the play-in tournament.
Looking at these squads, like how many games are even left in the season?
About 20, I think.
About 20. Yeah, see, it's hard. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the Raptors can push to even get a spot. Because like you said, they are 2 games back behind the Bulls, but the Bulls have been, you know, hitting little hot streaks here and there. So But they are what? Ooh, the last 10, they're 2-8. So I don't
It's
know,
still
man.
Detroit. Chill out.
It's hard. Because obviously the easy picks would just be like, fuck it, Bulls and Raptors, like they're out. That's the easy pick.
But in the top 10, Raptors are out.
So
Yeah, okay, so
Raptors
then
seem
last
Pacers and
two
Bulls
is
then,
yeah.
basically. That's what, because like the Knicks, yeah, the last, everybody else, yeah, from like basically 6th seed to 9th seed is 5-5, right? And their last 10. So like they're all kind of jostling, like, and they're all pretty even. So it's hard.
Um, I agree with you on the Bulls. I like what they did with Vucevic. I do think that that's a great piece for them to move forward with. One thing I've noticed watching them so far, and it's only been a couple games, but the chemistry isn't there, and I know that'll come. But the chemistry isn't there. You look at their last 10. You just brought that up, Chris. They are 2-8. Um, that you just can't be doing that. Sitting at a 10 spot, you can't be doing
Like
that.
even the Pistons are better at 4-6.
But
Right,
I
the
think the
They do
last.
Pacers
it.
are gonna make it. I think the Pacers will make it.
I was saying out of their last 10. See, like
You know
Yeah,
what?
but
I like the story. I like. I just the Knicks. I don't like the Knicks enough to have them in there. I think they're a very fluky team. I think they've gotten lucky early. So if I'm taking two out, I'm taking the Bulls and the Knicks out. And that honestly could just be recency bias. I mean, we look at the past couple of years. Um, the Pacers have made the playoffs. The Celtics have made the playoffs. I think the Hornets are at a good enough position right now where they can hold on. The Heat, I don't see going anywhere. The Hawks, and the top four, I don't see going anywhere. But I can't imagine Pacers not making it.
I mean, I don't like the whole like 2 of 8 thing. Like when you look at last 10 games, I think that's not just looking at the number might not give you the whole story
No, I
because
know.
they won against the Nets the last game.
No, I know.
So you
But
look at
who was all playing on the
but yeah,
Nets?
exactly who's playing.
Kyrie Irving.
Okay, and
What do you mean? Okay, that's one of the best point guards we've
and who
ever
else?
seen.
Who else? But
There were
it's
people
been shown that
resting.
like, Kyrie is not the guy to carry the team. He's not the guy to
Mm.
put the team on his back and get the job done.
And I would say
Yeah, well,
that Bulls.
whatever,
I
bro.
would say that Bulls roster, that fully healthy Bulls roster, versus the Nets roster with no Harden and no KD and no Dinwiddie. I would take the Bulls. I would bet on the Bulls.
I'll be honest. I would have probably taken the Nets before the game, and I was surprised that they won that game. But I don't want it to stay too long on that. I'm looking at these last from the 7th to the 10th seed. I think the Hornets are probably going to drop to the 7th seed at some point. I think the Celtics are
Hmm.
starting to pick it up. I think the Hornets are missing Devontae Graham, LaMelo Ball, and Gordon Hayward. So I think they're going to start losing a few games here and there. If I have to pick between the Hornets, Celtics, Knicks, Pacers, Bulls, pick the I'm going to pick the Pacers and the Knicks to not make the playoffs. I like our chances in the playing tournament, and I think we might be able to boost our way up. I mean, it doesn't matter if we play the Pacers or the Knicks. Either way, we're probably going to be in the 9th or the 10th seed. So I like that playing tournament. I like our chances.
Again, the Bulls are a good team. Like when you look at them on paper, a really good team, but the chemistry needs to work there as well, right?
We've
And that'll
been
happen.
missing
Like that'll
players.
that'll figure it out. Like that'll come. But
Yeah, there's been a bunch of injuries as well. Like we've been missing players. Kobe White's been out here and there. I think tonight against the Pacers, they're going to be missing a few players. They say his
oh
neck
no,
hurts.
oh
They
no.
said they say his neck hurts, and they said that's because he's been
From
carrying two.
sucking
But
ass.
that's not.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I love poker.
On to the next topic.
Is the
All
next
right,
topic
so
Space Jam 2 for Tobias?
we're gonna get to that. Give me a minute.
This guy's just gonna walk off camera. Yeah,
I don't.
no,
I, I
All right,
don't have an
my
opinion.
last.
I don't know.
Let me finish this. We're gonna get to that. So you look at the top 6 teams in the West. The way the playoffs works, out of the 8 teams, 4 have to move forward. You look at the Western Conference, you got the Jazz, the Suns, the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Blazers. If you told me these teams, I think these teams are the juggernauts. These teams are the teams I should be scared of. If there was a 1 to 16 playoffs, I would not want to see these teams. Out of these teams, these 6 teams, you have to pick 2 to not make it past the first round. Who do you got out of the Jazz, the Suns, the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Trailblazers? And we know
So
we just
if
talked about the
They don't like.
Lakers.
if we
Sorry.
are
Go ahead.
breaking it down, I guess like right now, like as it is, so it's like we say like one. Are we saying like one plays six, or is it just like the
I'm
regular?
saying
Like,
this is the playoffs. I was just making a little comment about if there was a
gotcha.
format, I would be scared. But I'm saying from the playoffs, I'm going to say these 6 teams are the juggernauts right now when they're healthy. Now we
So
don't. We just
teams
talked
like
about the
fully
Lakers.
healthy,
We don't know.
100%.
Hold on. What are you saying about the healthy part though? Because are you counting Braun and AD being there or no?
Yeah.
Are we looking at it as is or?
No,
They're
like
assumed
it's
to
a
be
fully
back by the
healthy squad.
playoffs.
Hmm?
They're back. They're expected to be back by the playoffs. And I'm
Okay.
saying wherever. We just talked about this. We don't know where they're going to end up with the playoffs thing, but they're going to be in the playoffs as we predict. So I'm saying 1 through 8, 4 teams got to move forward. Out of those 6 teams, who do you got moving forward?
Fuck, I don't want to go first. Chris, you go.
Well, pretty much, I think seeing.
That's hard, right?
I feel like the Trailblazers would go out of those like 6 teams, those 6 juggernauts, the Trailblazers, and man, I'm looking at the Suns, but then my eyes drift down to the Clippers.
I knew this guy was gonna try to do my team dirty.
But
I
it's
knew he was
like
gonna try to
it's
do my team dirty.
no, because like again, like you'd be playing who?
No, but we're not doing. He's Seabass. You're not saying that one plays 6.
No,
Two
no, no.
plays
I
5.
like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just like
Pick
I'm
4
like
teams to
looking at
go
it right
past
now.
the first round. That's all I'm saying. Pick 4 teams to make it past the first round.
Oh yeah, because like
Oh,
if it
that's
is
actually
if it is
difficult,
as it
see.
is right now, you're playing the Blazers, so like the Clippers would beat the Blazers. Oh man, I would probably say if everything stands right now, it would be the Blazers, and then I would say the Nuggets would go if they were playing the like a healthy Lakers.
So
Yeah, honestly, that's That's fucking hard, dude.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
I-
It's tough.
You know what? Okay, so let me break it down. I'll go from the bottom. Pause.
true.
The Blazers, I think the Blazers have to catch a spark. They're a team that could totally move on, but they're not a team that I would bet the house on. The Lakers, I can't bet against LeBron. The Nuggets are an interesting team, but you never know with Jokic. The playoffs are a bit more physical. The Clippers, I think the addition of Rondo and now the addition of DeMarcus Cousins is going to greatly help them. I wouldn't bet against the Suns. I'm not going to pick them, but I don't think the Jazz are going to be that consistent in the playoffs. I think they're going to be weird in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they have been all through the season. But leaving the hot takes aside, I'm going to rock with you, Chris. I'll take Nuggets and the Blazers. But I just don't like I don't know, dude. And I know I said a couple episodes ago that I'd be scared of the Jazz. I don't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Jazz. I don't think the Jazz make the finals. I don't think the Jazz make the finals.
I don't think that's a unpopular pick. I think that's, to me, I look at them as a very similar team to last year. I don't see anything different to them aside from the way they've been playing. They just have been playing great. They had Jordan Clarkson in their team last year in the playoffs, but we didn't see anything about him. But now he's been playing great in this season. He's a 6th Man of the Year candidate. He's been playing great. I'm looking at them similar to the 2015 Hawks. Just a great regular season team. I'm not going to pick them because I don't think they're going to be a first round exit.
No.
Whoever they play, unless they play, even the Warriors, or if they play the Pelicans, maybe if the Pelicans can make their way to the 8th seed, that might be interesting.
That'd be very interesting, yeah.
But I don't see that happening. I'm going to pick the 2 teams that I think are not going to make it past the first round. The Blazers is tough because I'm scared of Dame and CJ in the playoffs.
Right.
Those guys are just dogs. I love seeing CJ in the playoffs. The guy goes and gets a bucket.
If they catch a spark, then they run.
The second team, this I'm gonna have to with the
get it out of your mouth. Get it the fuck out of your mouth, bro.
Hey, bro. Cancun on 3. Let's go, PG.
Cancun.
Nah, bro. Why? Why though? Why?
I will say this. As I'm saying it, I don't believe it. But I'm not gonna go against the Nuggets because I think with the addition of Aaron Gordon, they've been really interesting. With the Clippers, I think they've been playing great. I think the addition of Rondo is gonna really help them. But I'm gonna come up with just a plan of what the seating is gonna look like.
There's no way, dude. There's no way. There's no way. Like I'm actually no. I will, but I'm just looking at it. There's no way.
I'll give you a scenario. Let's say the Lakers fall to the 6th seed.
Sorry.
Let's say the Lakers fall to the 6th seed.
Okay.
See, that's what
and you got a healthy AD and Bond. What do you do then? And I know they're going to be coming off injuries, so they might be a little risky. The series might go to 7, but I'm still picking Braun and AD on that. And if not, let's say the thing stays the same.
We weren't doing this.
I'm just saying.
I hear exactly what C is saying because I had that same thought too. Because I was like, you know what, if the Lakers have dropped down to 6 or whatever, then I could see the Clippers having an early exit.
I could also see that, but when you preface the question, we weren't talking about matchups. We were just saying those 6 teams who would lose.
But I'm thinking ahead. So let's see, like the top 3 are going to stay the same, right? The top 3, no way they're going to change. The Jazz, the Suns, and the Clippers, we're going to assume they're going to stay there. Okay. From there, the 4th to the 7th seed, that could move around. The only team that I might see that I might actually feel okay saying the Clippers are going to probably most likely win against is the Mavericks. I'm looking at the Nuggets. They ran through them last year. The Lakers, I wouldn't want to see the Lakers if I'm any team. The Trailblazers, you got CJ and Dame.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm saying you got CJ and Dame with the Trailblazers. That's tough, bro. Especially if you got the Clippers. I don't know who's guarding Dame.
I don't see the Clippers losing to the Nuggets this year, to be honest with you. I think they did learn a lot from them last year. I think 2 big components for the reason that they lost that round last year are not even on the team anymore. And Montrezl Harrell, very, very inconsistent, who you're seeing now in Los Angeles. Why did they go out and get Andre Drummond? Well, they can't count on Montrezl Harrell. He's not what they thought they were getting. And I think they did pay him a decent wage to go over and switch locker rooms. I think having an actual point guard in Rondo versus a guy in Lou Williams that's not actually a point guard and doesn't play defense is going to help him greatly. It's going to allow Kawhi to be Kawhi and be his dominant self while focusing on being a two-way player, and going to take a lot of pressure off Paul George, who up until that trade for Rondo, he was playing point guard, which he cannot do. I get it. Like, Jokic is scary, fucking milk bag. But
I'm just thinking about it defensively. I don't think the Clippers have changed much. Again, you bring up Rondo. I think that's going to help him out. Serge Ibaka is going to be great to be able to kind of move 100%. The ball around. At the same time, I think once you shut down those 2 guys, which I think they're going to be able to at least contain Kawhi. And PG, we're going to see how he's going to play. We call him Pandemic P and all those jokes. But we're going to see how he's going to do. Especially, he's been doing great this regular season. Let's see how he's going to do in the playoffs. I think once you shut down those 2 guys or contain them, it's just going to be down to the rest of the team. And I don't know if I trust anybody else on that team.
You feel more confident in the Suns than you do in the Clippers?
When we talk about this, again, let's go back to just possible matchups. The Suns have to play the 7th seed. I mean, we just talked about the Jazz. They got to play the 8th seed. There's not a team, unless the Lakers fall to do one of those, I don't see those teams losing to a 7 or 8 seed. And I think that's where it's difficult. Maybe a Suns against Mavericks series might be interesting, but
That would be interesting. That's what I'm looking at.
yeah, I think
Even
that would be
honestly, the
interesting. Yeah,
Mavs versus the Jazz. But
I think it's difficult because those teams. Yeah, maybe Mavericks might be an interesting matchup for the Suns. I don't know about the Jazz, but other than that, there's not another team that I'm worried about on from the 7th to the 10th seed.
do you still look at this question for both of you? Do you still look at the Lakers as being because I know we had this conversation at the start of the year or mid of the whatever whenever we started this podcast. You guys had Nets and the Lakers in the finals. Do you still think the Lakers are coming out of the West?
A healthy Lakers, I think so.
But the thing is, you don't know if they're going to be healthy. AD
That's the
can come
thing.
back, but AD
That's
can be
that's all I'm saying.
60%.
I'm saying if you asked me if I think they were going, I said yes if they were healthy. If it's a healthy Lakers, then yes, I could see that. If they're not healthy and we're still missing AD or LeBron comes back and then there's something with LeBron and he can't whatever, then I don't see that. No.
Like I think if AD is anything less than like 80%, they're in trouble. To be honest with you.
Well, I mean, if LeBron is like 100, Drummond's 100, and AD, even if AD's coming in at like 70, 65, I think Drummond and LeBron can do enough. They might squeak by some games, but it'll be enough until AD does hit that like 80% mark for them.
Okay, so theoretically, there's an injury and they aren't to the level. They're not 100%. Who do you have coming out of the West?
Not them.
This might be a little hot take. I'm gonna go with the Suns.
I knew you were gonna say that too. That's why I had asked you about. Do you feel more confident the Suns?
It's either the Suns or the Nuggets for me. I will say Clippers. I do believe it. It's just the matchups when we talk about the matchups. I think that's going to be difficult for them. And man, after last year, I don't know how they expect people to believe in them. Like the way that last year went, it's just been difficult.
I think so. Speaking as a resident Clipper fan, I think if you kept that same team together with Doc Rivers being a coach that doesn't change anything on the fly. You keep a Lou Will, who him and Pat Bev are sharing that point guard position. Lou Will is not a defender. You keep a Montrezl Harrell, who I think only decreased in value this past year. If you run it back with that exact same squad and you say we believe in this squad, we just caught a bit of a bump. That would be my opinion. I think Ty Lue is a very, very underrated coach. I think the way he runs the system and how he makes the locker room his and about the team and not about one or two players. I think Rondo is a massive, massive addition. They just signed Boogie, so I really can't comment on how that's going to be because Boogie has not been the Boogie of past.
And he's only on a 10-day.
Exactly.
So he might
yeah,
not
exactly.
even be there.
He might not even be there. But he's had a great history with Rondo. I think Serge Ibaka, you can speak to that, Chris, as a Raptor fan. He's going to be great for the 4 position. If they want to play like a small ball, maybe he could play the 5, but stretching the floor, being a facilitator in the paint. I don't really know where I was going with this, but I think that they are a different team than they were last year.
I will say, we were just talking about like them making it to the finals. I will say there is just a low key piece to this that we haven't talked about yet, and it is Clippers bad luck that always.
Oh, I know. Fuck, we suck.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Yeah, and again, like when we talked back with the CP issues when he was on, lobs. Bro, it's just bad luck for some reason for the Clippers. I don't know what it is. Like, it's crazy.
Even Blake Griffin got injured like the same. I think they were playing the Trailblazers a few years ago, and both CP and Blake got injured in the same series.
The Clipper curse, bro. Yeah. That was the year I think that it was either the Rockets or it was the Golden State Warriors, and they were like beating them. And
I think it was the second year of the Golden State. I think it was a 7-3-9 Golden State.
And they were winning. I think they were up by like 2 games. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the Clipper curse we just gotta watch out for. Before we get to Top Specs, have you guys seen the Space Jam 2 trailer?
I have not.
Why not,
Helps
Top?
watch
What's
it.
going on?
I just I don't have an interest. I don't want
Why
to
not?
watch it. I just don't. I don't know. I
Is,
don't want to watch it.
isn't the first film one of your favorite films of like
It
of all
is, and
time?
that's why I just want to keep it nostalgic because maybe you can speak to it with what was that one movie that you were speaking of? Not the Eddie Murphy one, but what's your favorite movie of all time, or one of your favorite movies of all time that has a
It
sequel?
was Coming to America, and also there was another one that had another sequel was the Bad Boys.
Yeah,
Of
and
both those
did
films,
it
yeah.
not frustrate you to watch a sequel that wasn't as good?
Mind you, Bad Boys was what? That was the third installment?
Yeah, Bad Boys for Life. And I didn't even
Yeah,
Yeah.
finish that movie.
that was the
And
third installment. But I feel like with a movie like Bad Boys for Life, because Bad Boys 1 and 2 were great, but I think Bad Boys 3, it just took so long to come out.
And that's exactly what I was about to say with Space Jam.
But see,
this
but
is
but this is the thing with Space Jam. You have to see it's like when Space Jam 1 first came out, Jordan was the guy in the league. All the kids knew who Jordan was. You ask any kid now, who's your favorite player in the league? Who's the best player in the league?
Steph
9 out of 10
Curry
of them are
or
probably
LeBron
going to tell you
James, yeah.
LeBron James. So this
Well,
movie,
or Steph Curry.
they weren't aiming this movie for you old Space Jam heads, because they know it's like you're still swinging from Jordan's nuts from the movie, and you're not ready to let
Yeah.
go yet to buy your tickets to the second movie.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Jordan's
whatever,
nuts.
we're gonna aim this. They even have is it Bron's kid in it too, something like that.
I don't
No,
think
he's
so.
not in it.
Who's the little black kid? Just
Just
some
a
Not
random
random
Bronny.
little
kid.
black kid.
Just a
But
random kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's like the entire movie is basically it's like everything. It's like they've got LeBron James, like he goes internet's big thing with young kids now. They're playing online games. They're referencing like a ton of other like pop culture things in like that movie too as well,
Hmm.
that like younger kids would know. So it's like,
So it's
yeah,
it's it's geared more towards a younger audience, is what you're
it's
saying?
geared more towards this next gen. Like this Space Jam will
Perfect.
probably be what Space
What
Jam
it
is
was
to
for
you
me,
to
for
this
sure.
next generation. So
So let them have it.
but I say, I mean, I think in its
It's
own right, it'll still be good.
Yeah,
It'll
I think I
still,
think I think it will. I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. I'm just saying like for me, Space Jam, and I know like look, I know Space Jam is not a top five greatest movie of all time. But for me, because of nostalgia and because I thought he was on the phone with somebody, but for me, because of nostalgia and how I watched it and who I watched it with, it means more to me than another movie. So for me, it's a personal top five greatest movie of all time. I
yeah.
know that Space Jam was not actually good. Like when
Hmm.
you look at it,
it's
Michael,
good.
I'm sure that LeBron James acting is going to be better than Michael Jordan's acting. Do you want to know why? Because
Probably
LeBron James
not.
actually has interest in this. He's been in other movies. He's been in
Hmm.
other things. He has more of an interest in a Hollywood persona, whereas Mike didn't care. It was honestly just a lot of endorsement stuff. But it's a personal preference why I like Space Jam.
Let me say this about Coming to America, because I did finish that one. The second installment, the sequel after 20 years. I didn't finish Bad Boys for Life. I thought it was terrible. I walked away from
You
it.
walked out of the theater.
It wasn't even theater. I was over at a friend's house, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'll see you later.
He's bounced.
uh, yeah. It was Coming to America. You guys know I love that movie. I adore that movie. The second installment, I think they were trying to hit into that nostalgia, but like, try to also play the new stuff, try to entertain the new people. As Chris said, this is for younger audience, but I also think a movie like Bad Boys, or a movie series like Bad Boys, a movie like Coming to America is so relying on the story. The story is just so focused, and that's what I didn't like about Coming to America, the second one, because they didn't really focus on the story. But Space Jam, it's a lot of visuals. The story is there. It's just that you're more focused on the cartoon. You're more focused on the little moments, like, oh, he went up for a dunk. Oh, look at him! Like the cartoon shot the ball. it's just all these little key pieces that just kind of entertain you more than just
Yeah.
this deep story that just keeps building and building on these characters and develops over time.
Yeah, like they even referenced the Wade and Braun dunk. You know, you got Lola Bunny tossing it up and running
Yeah.
away, and
Yeah,
right.
that's
So it's
crazy.
like there are
So
things
I
for
saw
the.
I saw the picture of that, and like that's another thing. I know exactly what one of you fuckers are gonna say as soon as I say this, but that's the other thing. Like it's CGI, right? It looks like a CGI kind of graphics.
Yeah.
Not
Like
kind of,
Lola Bunny
sorta.
does not look like the Looney Tunes characters that you would watch in the 90s.
No, none
Okay?
of the Looney Tunes characters look like the Looney Tunes characters that you'd
That's
watch in the
what I'm saying.
'90s
They look more
anymore.
like 3D, right?
Well, no, but
You
I'm
know what I'm
just
trying
saying,
to
like
say?
like from this movie aside, the Looney Tunes have already gone through multiple redesigns and renditions. There's like Looney Tunes is still on TV now, but they look nothing like the Looney Tunes of old or from the '90s or
And
even
that
before that.
and that's for me the nostalgia factor. That's why I don't want to watch it because I'm like, this isn't the Looney Tunes I watched. That's just another random thing that I'm like I was looking on TV when I went and visited my parents a couple months ago, and it was Arthur that was on the show. I'm like, on the TV. I'm like, this isn't Arthur. What the fuck is this? Like Arthur's like got these weird designs, and he looks more realistic or 3D or whatever. And I'm like, this for me, this is not Arthur, and it takes it away from me. And I'm like, this sucks.
That's how I feel like
Again,
about.
if you don't value Looney Tunes, if you don't value Space Jam as much as I do, you don't care, and you're like, Toad, whatever, like grow the fuck up, watch the movie. But that's just
Yeah,
how I sit with it.
that's how I feel like about the new Ninja Turtles. It just doesn't feel the same
There
for me.
you go.
Yeah, and I know,
But you
like
also,
you miss the old Lola. I get it.
yeah,
I
he
see,
misses
and I
he
knew
misses
that's
the
what you were
old
gonna bring
Lola
up.
Bunny that he could go and just
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So
That's the bias. That's why he's really upset. It's because Lola Bunny
No,
doesn't look hot to him anymore.
no.
Jesus Christ, Chris, I might have to cut out that part before that, man. That was a little wild.
Yeah,
I'm just
he's
saying,
acting.
brother.
Vibrating. All right, so hit us with the picks, man.
All right, so following the same trend, 2 for 3, not bad. I don't know what the total record is at right now. I think it's like 15 for 18 or something like that. Anyways, so last week I took the Hawks to beat the Spurs. The Hawks did beat the Spurs. They won in OT. 2 days later, I took the Spurs to beat the Pacers. The Spurs unfortunately lost in OT. And then on Sunday, the 4th, the Clippers ended up beating the Lakers. So looking at this week, the 8th, which I believe is a Thursday. The 8th is a Thursday. I'm taking the Clippers again. I'm riding with my squad over the Suns after we just had that controversial, not really controversial, but after we just had that discussion, taking the Clippers. The Suns are on a back-to-back. They'll have played the Jazz just before this game. On the 10th, Chris, I'm riding with your squad. I'm taking the Raptors over the Cavs. That was an impressive win over the Golden State Warriors. I think the Cavs and the Raptors are in very similar situations as a team. Standing wise, I think they're also very close. Yeah, 2 wins apart. But I'm riding with the Raps over the Cavs on the 10th. And on the 11th, we got the Nuggets versus the Celtics. I know the Celtics are on a bit of a climb. They're trying to secure a playoff spot, but I'm going to ride with the Canadian Kid and the Milk Bag in Denver. So, yeah,
I like it.
that's my
I like
picks.
it. Yeah, the 12 and 15 record. I like it. Slowly building on it.
That's what it is, 8, 12, and 15?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So
You gotta take your L's. You gotta take your L's somewhere, man. You can't be
I
great
I
forever.
I spent the first few seconds checking because I thought you had actually gone 1 of 3. I thought the Hawks did lose against the
No
Spurs, but I was lost.
way.
But I was wrong. Yeah, you know what? I gotta
No
give you
way.
credit. 2 of 3 is not too bad.
Thank you,
Just
bro.
waiting on you
Still
to
a
go
winning
0 of
record.
3 1 week.
Sorry?
Still a winning record.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I'm still waiting
Oh,
on you to
nice.
go 0 of 3 1 week.
It's probably gonna happen. Maybe it's this week. Maybe
Nah,
the
I
Clippers,
believe I
Raps,
believe
and
you.
Nuggets all take an L.
Nah, Tobes ain't going. I'm calling it right now. For the rest of the season, Tobe isn't getting a 0-3 in his picks.
That'd be
I
wild.
knock on wood too. Yeah.
I'm not knocking on no wood. That's how confident I am.
Dang, bro.
He came in
This
with
is the man that This is the man that put the Clippers curse on the Clippers. That's what happened. He just put the curse on me now.
I'm what's his thing? Base God.
Oh
yeah.
Fucking cursing you.
Yeah. I forgot about him.
Let me lift the Clippers curse just now. But I just need
awesome.
I need Kawhi to apologize to me. And then I'll
still salty. All right, you want me to close it out?
Yeah, I think that's a good spot.
Close it
up.
All
right, sounds good. So, thanks again for listening to the Lob It Up podcast. This was the 8th episode. We touched on our all-time greatest point guards with another draft. Next episode, we'll be touching on the shooting guard position. James Harden, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson. Who's going number 1? Who's getting left off the board? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and on Instagram, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.
That's funny.
Fuck, I'm a tired guy.